Dive into the dynamic world of entrepreneurship, innovation, and business with CapLander, hosted by Jody and Morgan Thielander of J. Thielander Consulting. Whether you're invested in the private capital markets, building your own venture, or curious about the entrepreneurial spirit, this podcast unpacks the latest trends, insights, and opportunities shaping today's market and the people driving what's next. CapLander connects the dots between personal and professional life because how you do anything is how you do everything. Featuring expert guests, deep discussions, and a dynamic mother-daughter duo, CapLander is your go-to resource for staying informed and inspired. Hi, Jody.
Hi, Morgan. How is the world treating you over there in Bloom? How is Morgan in Bloom?
Morgan and Bloom, my Substack. I think, Morgan and Bloom is good. It's an exciting week because baby shower is this upcoming weekend, which is really when we picked the date months ago, it felt so far away, and now the fact that it's actually 6 days away feels a little surreal.
Yeah, you're very lucky that you have, because I'm hosting the shower with your mother-in-law, and she's more the mother-in-law and I'm more the mother outlaw. Like your husband calls me when there's like a side hustle going on and he wants a partner in crime to get opinions on. But your mother-in-law is really a very wonderful person. And I think it's rare, and a lot of people appreciate when the family dynamics are all positive. And so you have a baby coming into the world, into a family on all sides that it's very easy. Everyone has gotten I've learned a lot. Actually, people say to me, Jody, do you realize that being a grandmother, it's wonderful, but you have to keep your mouth shut. So maybe that is a good segue in, because I've been having a little bit of trouble with this lately. The sort of keeping my mouth shut or not keeping my mouth shut. And pretty much either way, I've sort of been in trouble, because it turns out the feedback that I'm getting is that I'm intimidating just by who I am.
I'm going to ask you, do you want me to listen or do you want me to respond? Because I don't,
Fortunately on this podcast, if I don't like what you say, we can delete it. So
I mean, look, this has been your Achilles heel, period. You are a extremely capable woman.
Right.
And part of that being extremely capable is being able to, I think of it as turning the volume up or down. And there are certain places and scenarios where you turn the boss, CEO, founder volume way up. And then there are other situations where you're not the boss and you're not the CEO. You are there as grandmother or mom or daughter or whatever it is.
You know what I've seen, and this sort of goes into advice for, in my opinion, kids that are graduating from college or looking for jobs, is that sort of timid look when you come across someone like me. Like, let's say you're as simple as a lifeguard at the pool or you're a waitress at a restaurant. Just because someone says, listen, this isn't working or I need something else, that doesn't mean that someone like me is coming at you personally. And I think, the best advice is that you've got to lean in. And when you feel someone is fair and strong, you have to not be insecure. But if anything, the best question is, how can I help? Okay, I hear you need something different. What can I do? But this bullshit of like, oh, don't talk to me like that. Or, that's not, maybe you could do something differently. Like, first of all, I am not working for you. And second of all, what I'm saying, I'm not swearing, I'm not speaking harshly, I'm just being direct. And I think that if you are in the job market, especially if you are junior, you should gravitate towards someone strong, because we didn't get here without success and failures. But obviously, we continue to pick ourselves up and move forward. And I think that's really important for people younger in their career to know.
I can't. I just can't. I can't. I really can't. Because I am
the work headed in this direction. And wait till you have families where you're going to have no patience for this bullshit. And you're going to have this moment where someone's going to be scared of you. And you're going to be like, I'm not scary. And they're going to be like, you're scary by the virtue of the fact that you are confident and you are direct and you are short of time. And also, when you're out and doing things, you don't want problems. You just want something done.
Look, like I said, you are a wonderful person. But the one thing about you don't have the best bedside manner. You've never really had the best bedside
I
manner.
have
Your bedside
no
manner.
bad bedside manner. It is no bedside manner. And
Okay,
I
fine.
think
Then you
that's a
have hold on,
distinction.
hold on. Got me. You have no bedside manner. Fine. You have said, I don't care that
Right.
I don't have a good bedside manner. This is not a secret.
No,
This is not something where like you necessarily have gone like a fish to water to be like, I want to improve this or
I
change this. Like
haven't.
this
No,
is
no, no. I have improved. Instead of having a bad bedside manner where I'm like, how fucking stupid are you? Or, go
Mhm.
fuck yourself. Or,
That doesn't get you anywhere. And
right.
I think that's more the point of it for the tip piece of it in terms of for somebody going forward. Is the reality is anybody gets to pick and choose what they do or don't want to work on or improve upon. And there are certain situations and friendships and relationships or whatever it is where you hit a divide and you're like, I don't care enough about this to change my behavior.
Right.
Period.
You don't make somebody else feel badly, like, you don't have to come for them. So I have improved that bedside manner, and I think that's really important, especially if you're young in your career and you're at a job that or an internship or something that doesn't feel good. You don't have to burn the house down.
Look, if you're young in your career, it's a really layered because the reality is you're there to be a sponge. You're there to soak up and also to observe, to take in as much as possible around you, especially being in a physical office setting, because then you're also looking at the relationships of the colleagues around you and how they work together. And office culture and office dynamics are an entirely different beast when it comes to a job. Right? I mean, how much do we talk about culture? So I think that's number 1 is to be a sponge and to keep your eyes open. And then number 2 is to ask a lot of questions. You want to understand. You're not really there.
Also there to be service oriented. You wanna ask questions, and if someone I mean, I've, like, wanted to absolutely strangle you through the phone when you have said sometimes, "Don't talk to me like that." And I'm just talking to you directly. Even you have felt this. And I think when you're in a job and you're working for a boss or someone who has a little bit more of that gangster mode, then it's important where you say, how can I help? I hear you need something else. What can I do for you? I was just watching this on the J Lo, the new movie, Office Romance.
Uh-huh.
Right. Same thing. They're like, well, have you met her yet? Because she's scary spice, right? And she's not.
You are definition of scary spice. You're sporty spice, but you are scary spice. I think part of this too is that the reality is for you and is that when you're your own person, like you've been Jody your entire life, you've never been anybody else. So for you to be you, you're like, this is me. What's wrong with it? Like there's nothing to it. I think the reality is like what you're saying, like, yes, you can tie any of these personal things together and having a direct boss versus having a bad boss or somebody else are two different things. You are very direct. You're very capable. There's no period about it. You have had a successful business for 30 years because of your capabilities.
Yeah,
Period.
correct.
End of story. When that comes into somebody, I think where the younger generation differs from you as scary spice is that it is a softer tone. And I think those are typically the people who you come up against about it because
You
you
better fuck up. That's what I'm telling you. When you
can
get
unnerve them.
when you yeah, that is exactly right. So
Yeah.
don't be that person who gets unnerved. You need to be that person who says, listen, the fact that I'm having this conversation, that's a positive thing. The fact that someone's not yelling at me, the fact that someone is not telling me I'm doing a shitty job, but someone's helping me know how to do a good job, that is a positive thing. And I think that's what it takes in today's very, very competitive environment is that you have to separate yourself because you'll be the kind of person who is not scared. And if you don't have confidence that you're instead of being saying, don't speak to me like that, you're better off to say, how can I help? What can I do?
With an asterisk is within reason. Because if you actually have somebody who's like being a total asshole to you, then that's
Assuming
different.
that we are playing within the
Yes.
rules. Yes.
Yes, within the rules for sure. I mean, I think the other thing is I was talking to, so there's two things. So CopLander has been dabbling in the world of career coaching and like job negotiations because, like you said, it is really cutthroat and it's a tougher environment now more than ever for recent graduates to find jobs. And the first call I had with this person, I kid you not. If you book a call with somebody, my first piece of advice, like if somebody's going to talk to you for free or whatever it is, and you get a calendar invitation and you accept it, my number one piece of advice is to show up.
Show up on time.
No, show up, period. And if you're running late, then tell somebody.
It is pathetic that the rules have gotten so low that that is what you have to tell somebody.
So then I had a call with somebody else and they were like, I want to work for a startup. I don't know, where do I look for a job? And my piece of advice for it was go ask ChatGPT or Claude or whatever AI tool you use for a list of the top 50 or top 100 most active VC firms in the US. And on each of those websites, whether it's A16 or Sequoia or Everywhere Ventures, Wing Ventures, you name it, they all have their portfolio companies listed on their website. And then they have the jobs
Yeah, they often have
posted.
jobs. Yeah.
Right, and that's a really good place to look because those are current, they're active open listings, and then from there you can go and apply, but that's really where CapLander is so helpful because it's geared towards startups and private companies because of the equity component. But these are more people who are looking to work for the startups themselves versus the investment
And I
firms.
think that kids are, people are interested in working for startups even more because this illusion of wealth creation at all levels from SpaceX and OpenAI has gotten a lot of press. So that
Right.
equity component, all of a sudden people are realizing that could make me rich. And you're not going to get that in a private company or a job where you're not going to get, even if it's a little bit of equity, that is really your opportunity.
Yeah, it's your golden nugget. I mean, the thing.
Or also not be, but it could be because not everybody is an open AI and a SpaceX. But nonetheless, you got to figure out if you have that kind of entrepreneurial spirit and you're not that, scaredy cat who is afraid to be dealing with someone who thinks differently and speaks in a way that's more commanding and is innovative. If you can handle that and you kind of like it, then those are good places for you to find a job.
Yeah. The startup world is a whole interesting world. I mean, I know a number of people who are in tech sales, for example, like friends and friends of friends and the whole thing. And a lot of the people they met were when they took a job out of college and it was at a startup and the startup went under. But the people they met just from being at the startup are the ones
I
who
know.
they have bounced as they've gone from job to job, or if a company went under or whatever it was, the people they met alone, which goes back to the culture and the office dynamics piece of it, those relationships have really been instrumental in the success of their careers and where they've gone from the first place forward.
No question. I mean, we even had an intern who now you're talking to the intern because she's landed in a full time job and we didn't have that opportunity for her. And now she has a sister, and you're speaking to two of those kids who to be
Right.
marketing interns for us. So it's all about who you know. And you've got to network with everybody. I had my friend Julianne who was staying with me over the weekend from San Francisco, and she worked at many iterations of different entrepreneurial companies before they were public and then some very bougie high-end companies. And she's learned a lot along the way. But not once, but twice, she gave me business cards of people that she met here in Miami. Right. Because you know what I love about her? And I said this to her, she talks to everybody. And I
Right.
think that's another really important sort of quote tip is that you should be talking to anybody in an elevator, anybody in the grocery store, anybody in a restaurant, anybody, even if it's your Uber driver.
Small talk.
Yeah.
I've read this any which way is the importance of small talk. And even if you're uncomfortable with it or you're like, I don't know what to talk to somebody about, that is a skill in and of itself. And I see this walking around my neighborhood, like when I take the dog out. I've learned like there are certain times when I take my phone, I put my phone in my pocket and I put it on do not disturb. And I'm like, this is my first time all day where I just get to put my eyes up and walk around and like see what else is going on. And talking, you see so many other people doing the same thing and you say hello, and if you have the dogs sniff and whatever it is, and you're talking to people.
I've actually gotten a job that way when I went to the theater in New York when I lived there by myself. And I met somebody and speaking to them, and then that they gave me a contact. I follow it up with the contact, and that's how I got a job. So you just never know. And I think it's really important because there's a lot of you smile at the world and the world smiles back. So I have a
Yeah.
question for you, Morgan. You said that
Yes.
your daughter, who is living in your stomach right now, she has not found an exact resting spot yet. Like she's not completely in position. So she's gone from being head up to being head down to being sideways. So it's a lot of change and it's a lot of
Yeah.
unknown. and how, I know that we all know we've been raised and given the mindset that if something's hard, that's a good place for growth. But other than your stomach actually growing, how are you feeling about the fact that you're trying to get your daughter in position and this is sort of your Custer's last stand here?
You know, I think it's really am on the fine line because I'm not in she doesn't really have to be in position yet.
Right.
And this baby is on the smaller side. So she really does have room to move around to kind of get herself in position.
This is
But
not breach yet because
no, I'm not really in, like, a code red piece of it yet, but what I appreciate about pregnancy and, like, you can sense it from looking on the outside piece of it is that know it's very fragile because, like, a human life is fragile and, like, you know that you always say, like I mean, for me, like, my greatest fear is, like, if God forbid somebody got sick or if somebody got hurt. And it's the
right.
same thing when you have that with pregnancy because it's somebody where you really do want them to cook and you're very focused on them having what they need to cook properly. And I didn't really appreciate like all the different exits off the freeway that you needed to clear, like anatomy scans and growing scans and like looking at their brain. Like you're very focused on the fact of like, oh my God, the girls' clothes are so cute. And what are you doing with the nursery? But
Right.
there are things like when I don't feel her moving at certain windows of the day, I'm like tapping. I'm like, hello, like, how we doing in there? Like, are we hungry? Like, what's going on? Like, you're so much more aware of the little things.
Oh, yeah,
And I
'cause
think
you're a mom
that's,
now,
yeah,
I'm
that's what they mean when they say that a woman becomes a mom when she gets pregnant and a man becomes a father when he holds the baby, is that there's just no way to have that
women
beforehand.
are this is where that book, See Jane Run, and women are the stronger sex because you think about you haven't quite gone through childbirth yet, but even that,
Right. I
this
did, we went to Costco over the weekend and I saran wrapped it to him. I was like, "This is like a 20-pound watermelon. I want you to walk around with this and see what it's
your
like."
stomach and
Oh,
right.
yeah, completely, and he walks around and he got put the whole thing and he's like, "Oh, like, this is, like, cumbersome," and I'm like, "Yeah, except it doesn't come off," and it's, like, not only in your stomach, but it's also in your boobs, like, and it's, like, all across your body. It's, like, not just this one area, and I was like, "Oh, you dropped something? Pick it up," and he's like, "Try," and I'm like, "You can't bend that way, you gotta
Exactly,
squat down."
your feet, yeah.
Right. Right, and he's like and I was like, "Oh, you need to sit down on the couch? Sit down on the couch." Like, "Oh, you wanna lay on your side? Like, lay on your side." And he was like, "Oh," and I was like, "Oh, you wanna get a glass? Like, try and reach over the counter." He's like, "Oh, I didn't really think." I was like, "Oh, you need to get in the car? Go to the car. Like, you wanna go up and down the stairs?" Like
What's your feet can't reach the pedals because your stomach's in the way.
right, and I was like, "Oh, like, have you seen anything, like, below your hips? Like, can you look around down there?" Like, "No, you can't."
All right, well, what else do we have, Morgan?
I think my question for you is that you have a trip coming up. So, what are you packing and where are you going?
This is a classic, what people are dealing with, right? So I'm coming to you in St. Louis from Miami, and then from you, I'm going to London, and I've got 2 nights in London and really 2
Right?
full days of work. You fly at night, so I'm like, "How is that possible?" But I fly at night and get there in the morning, and I have my first meeting at 4 o'clock in the afternoon the day I arrive, and then I've got 3 meetings the next day on Tuesday. So basically, I'm wearing the same thing Monday and Tuesday. I brought a different shirt to change into in case
Are you wearing the suit?
no, I'm wearing, pinkish jeans and sneakers. I'm wearing Hoka's, beige, and I'm wearing a Courrèges jacket in beige vinyl with, like, a matching shirt underneath, and I'm bringing in 1 more shirt in case I can't wear the same shirt 2 days in a row. And then from there, I'm flying to Rome to meet a very close
So, is that your strategy when you go for a work trip and you're going in to see clients? If you're seeing different clients in 2 different days, like not a speaking engagement, or you find a rewear an outfit?
yeah, totally rewear an outfit, and really, I'm gonna be completely shit out of luck if anything happens to this outfit or I spill because I do not have backup, so I'm gonna have to be
Got
careful.
it.
Yeah, and
And
then
you're doing that because you're going to on a vacation from there.
right, from there, then I'm going to Rome, and then from there, we are flying to Baria and going to, like, sort of the coast of Italy, a little bit north of Sicily. And
Okay.
so that is really going to be very casual. So I'm trying to curate a combination of things I'm going to wear to your baby shower, a romper, Zimmerman, love, easy, an outfit. And then I've got a combination of shorts. And I decided to go the lane because it sort of fits me, is that hippy dippy lane. So I've got like tie dye shirts and just regular shorts and things that basically, and then jewelry, I have a little bit of it on actually because I was sort of stuck between trying things on. I figured I would just
Right.
keep it stuff that is like one thing that's gold. But in general, when I travel, no watch, because you don't want to be a place where you have any issues. And really, nobody cares. And other than that, just the very easy shorts and t-shirts. And then I'm going to pretty much be in those Hokas a lot because they're comfortable. A pair or two of sandals, a bathing suit, and a few little straw accessories and, beaded jewelry, but very simple. But should I need the high game, I've got some options with the rompers, and then I've got the pink jeans, which I could dress up if I need to be covered. So I really just have mixed it up, but it's all stuff that can be washed in a bathtub. I do bring those washing sheets. Have you ever used those?
No, I haven't.
It's like a little sheet. It's a square or a rectangle, and you can just put it in a basin of water and it basically acts like a detergent. So I'm more comfortable just to rinse and repeat. That is my strategy. I'm in carry on. I don't care if I'm going for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Very simple.
Look, I was looking in my summer wardrobe the other day and I was like, RIP, I'll see you next year, clothes.
I mean,
I
rest
miss you though.
your clothing.
Yeah. Oh, rest in peace to all my summer clothes, all my cute little dresses, my shoes, my sets, everything. I literally lent clothes to a girlfriend who was going to Rosemary Beach in Florida with her family.
You may be pleasantly surprised. Come August and September, which can often be the hottest months, you very well may be back in those clothes. I think you overestimate. You are all baby in there. And I think that once you have this baby, you are going to be really, really proud of yourself for how disciplined been. You're always disciplined to take care of yourself, to eat well. You've been feeding this baby and you've been taking care of like the nutrition and the exercise. And I think you're going to be like, wow, I am like a better version of what I looked like from before. You shouldn't be. That is another tip. Do not be hard on yourself. We are
Yeah.
meant to, you're producing a child. It's a big effort.
Oh yeah. No, it's not. I'll tell you, it's not a small effort. And at the gym, I was at the gym over the weekend, but I was standing by the weight rack and there were, I kid you not, 5 men around me and I was the youngest by a solid 20 years. And one guy comes up to me and he's like, "So you're having a baby?" And I was like, I
It's
was like,
men now feel comfortable to say it because
right.
it's 1,000% clear that you have not been eating too many cheeseburgers.
And I kind of looked at the guy and I was like, "You think so? Like, you think this is a baby?" And he goes, "Oh, honey, you're having a baby." I was like,
Well,
I was like, okay, well, like,
he's had the right career advice because now he's talking to everybody. It just shows you
right.
the
He's
human nature.
kibitzing, walking
He has
around,
to.
everything else.
It's a
Now,
healthy thing. It's a positive experience. And maybe that's a good way to wind up is that
yeah,
conversations and the career advice and making sure you leverage every opportunity, that it doesn't have to be because you're pregnant and the guy talking to you. Like it's very healthy to have these conversations, to have touch points with people, to ask about how did they become successful, or what did they do for work, or how did they get that job? Because those are all the conversations. I think the other point that you made, if you're going to be, looking for a job, or you're making those connections to make sure that you show up ideally a little bit early, most definitely on time, but showing up, I don't know, it seems like that's crazy. You even have to say it. And then if you're dealing with someone who does come across as being very confident and very strong, you should embrace that and say, "That's so great. You seem really sure of what you're talking about. How can I help?" That is like 101. How can I help? Not, "Don't talk to me like that." Not, "I'm taking it personally." Great. Someone obviously sees something that might be able to be improved upon. And taking it so personally is just makes you a complete fuck nut. Honestly, it just,
no, you can't say that.
I can't. Okay. What
No,
do I say?
no, you can't say that because then you sound like one of those people who's a fucking pain in the ass. You can't say that.
What can I say? What can I say?
I think what you're trying to say is that if you come across somebody who unnerves you in any way, shape, or form, that it's a really good moment to pause. And instead of maybe reacting in a way of like, don't talk to me like that, you can think to yourself, okay, this is a challenge
An opportunity.
and this is an opportunity. And instead of, maybe there's something to be learned here,
Correct.
especially if you're in a new work environment or if you work in a service oriented business in any way, you're going to have a lot of different types of customers. And sometimes the people who can come across as challenging or not the ordinary are your biggest learning lessons and opportunities.
Good for you,
That's
Morgan.
that's what I would say for you trying to get there.
Better buckle up when you're a challenge with your daughter, that you're going to have to remember this, that she is your biggest growing edge.
Oh, look, you know what? Honestly, my father-in-law told me, he goes, oh, well, what if your daughter comes out and she's just like your husband? And I was like, well, I like him and I find him completely manageable. So I think that part's fine. But the other piece about it that I will say for anybody who's entering the job market too, and I had a DM, or not a DM, I had a message that came through from a Wisconsin alumni who is building an AI company. And he sent me a message and he was like, here's what I'm doing. And I saw that you went to Wisconsin. Like, can I tell you about my company? And I was like, yep, like if you have something, I'm happy to look at it, send it. It wasn't for us at the time, but there is no harm in reaching out to somebody and shooting your shot, and if you have one touch point through LinkedIn or whatever it is, like to not be afraid of what could come.
Like that. I think that's a good way to wind up. Shoot your
Yeah.
shot.
Shoot your shot, baby.
Thank you for joining us today for the CapLander podcast. If you loved this episode, share it and make sure to subscribe to CapLander for more conversations like this.